How's that? All right. This is who we welcome everybody at home now that you can hear me. This is who we refer to as our leadership team. If you all will stand, if you can.
Yeah. Do not fall over.
And our board chair is here, Dorothy Sullivan. No relation, except that she helped me at one point in my career as a student. She was my 5th grade teacher. So she's a big name over at Holy Innocents and an even bigger name here at St. Benedict. So this is everybody who, when we make a decision, when we start thinking about the future, if there's something that comes along, this is the group. The first steps of our strategic plan, if you remember, we had one 5 years ago. The major thrust of that was the new facilities. And then we had other pieces to that are continuing through this. The focus has really changed, not that we're not doing anything with the new building. Oh, there's movement in the background. Cute. We changed around our mission and vision a little bit. Tried to make it a little more streamlined. Most of our mission is focused on our day-to-day. When you look at this mission statement, think of teachers. They're the ones who facilitate the learning. They're the ones who embrace all of our children and help nurture them through growth. And then our vision is really our students. If you see a student around Smyrna, you're going to see a curious, compassionate, independent thinker, respectful of diversity, and grounded in faith. And that happens every day. This is a lot about what we have already shown you in our mission. This year, we spent a lot of time talking about values, and I'm going to have Angela talk a little bit about that process that she brought from her expertise.
All right. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Do you have to give that to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Passing of the microphone. Should I hold it or put it on? We should have practiced this. I'm just going to hold it. How about that? Okay. All right. So we went through a process. Some of you might have been part of this, and you remember we had last winter, we involved students, we involved parents in a few aspects, values being one of them, and then portrait of a graduate being another, and so you'll see that here coming up. But as a community, we settled on these 5 values: belonging, kindness, grace, respect, and integrity. And then we've taken that a step further in the middle school, and we built our houses around the values. We needed 6 houses, so we added responsibility, because who doesn't want students that are responsible, right? Children that are responsible. So what I love about that is that, you know, our middle school students, they're not thinking every day about what are St. B's values, right? They're thinking about what's on TikTok, right? However, if you ask them, what are St. B's values? They know them because they know all the names of the houses. And so that just has really solidified who we are and what we stand for here, and who we're graduating and who they want to be when they move out into the world. All right, focus areas. You again, right.
Every strategic plan has different areas that they focus on. These are our 4 major focus areas. This should not be surprising to you that every school is going to be focused on students, their social success. Faculty are the reason you bring your kids here. I think this group could change faces from time to time, and you wouldn't be too concerned, but once your kid's teacher leaves, I'm the first person you call, probably. They are, and trying to keep them here, they're part of what builds our culture. Having teachers that have been here since we opened our doors, our Spanish program being one of them, is a big part of the success of this, and making sure that we continue that. Having mission-aligned students, this is really about who your kids sit next to in the classroom. Smyrna is a very diverse area, as we know. A lot of us moved here because of that, and maintaining that takes work. It also takes partners in our community, which includes your friends on the soccer field as well as at the playground, as well as maybe leaders of industry here in Smyrna that want to keep Smyrna the way it is, with a lot of different choices for education in places where our kids feel like they belong. And then finally, focusing on making sure high-level stuff happens. So this is the board of trustees. There are about 13 of them, making sure they get trained, making sure our committees are all running smoothly, making sure the head of school is doing what he says he's going to do, those kind of things. And then below our focus are the objectives. This is how we're going to get everything done. So by providing a caring, exceptional educational experience that attracts families, meet and exceed independent school average retention rate. So keeping our kids here means that they're getting what we are providing for them. We are going to go a little bit further into this about raising money, but you all well know that you can't have facilities without funds. So $10 million is our goal through this 5 years fiscal year. So think of that as a 5-year goal, and then expanding our facilities once we meet those goals and maintaining an operating reserve. And this is where Christy Brown comes in, and probably the most exciting part of this is a 4-month of expenses. So every nonprofit runs with some sort of fallback. We call it a runway. Other schools not too far down the street inside of 285 call it endowment. We are doing this through just making sure that we provide everything we can in the classroom and that we will be here for a long time to come. Hopefully, no big bumps. Come on in. In order to make sure we're keeping track of that, we have basically a dashboard where each one of these things is written out in detail. Each tactic has a date, has somebody who's responsible for it, and keeping up with that, and then keeping track of where we are on that plan for every year throughout the strategic plan. So each objective number 1. Again, we moved here to Smyrna. A lot of us did because of the diversity, because it looks like the world that we live in. We're not segregated. We are a family and a community. And at least 90% of our students get accepted from St. Benedict's. In the last 2 years, it's been 100%. When they apply to a school that they want to get into, they've gotten into that. And I think Ann is going to talk a little bit about how that breaks down and why we are still going to be in 8th grade, preschool through 8th grade. How are you going to do this?
I'm going to do it. We're just going to do it. Okay, here we go. Bear with me. This could be really easy or it could be really bad. So this is one of my favorite things to talk about, and I get oh, thank you. I get very long-winded when I talk about this topic, so I'm just going to start by telling you that if I touch on something that hits home or you have something that you'd like to talk further about, and we don't have time today to get into all of it, I'm happy to meet you for coffee or to set up a time for us to talk about it, because I do think this is one of the most important things of what we do and who we are, and that's our model. So we are intentionally a preschool through 8th grade model. And I have thought about this a lot as an administrator, being here for 15 years, and as a parent, seeing the growth of both of my kids coming through very different ways and in very different people coming through this model. And I feel both of the administrator part of me and the parent part of me has made me a firm believer in this. I think that whether you are looking for a preschool or whether a family is looking for a middle school or whether they're looking for that elementary school, one of the things that I think you know when you come to a model that's a preschool through 8th grade is that we're always looking ahead. And when you have an 8th grader, or 6th, 7th, and 8th grader, we're looking towards high school. So we're never stopping at just our boundaries. We're always looking forward to make sure that we are planning for your child. And when Angela came, one of the things that I love that we did was intentionally take the curriculum and backload it all the way to our 1-year-old program. So we know what we want to graduate. We know what that portrait of a graduate looks like, and we're going to get to that in a second. But what we want to do is make sure that every year in between we are intentionally growing the child towards that goal. And this is really what we want to graduate, regardless of when your child graduates and leaves St. Benedict's. We want to make sure that they are problem solvers and self-advocates and lifelong learners. We met with the teachers earlier this year and helped develop what this list is. One of the things I love about the model that we have is that whether your child is in kindergarten or whether your child is in 8th grade, they're known. And they are in those middle years of 6th, 7th, and 8th when they want to fall into the cracks, because that's what middle schoolers want to do. We pull them out of the cracks. We don't let them slip into those places where they're not seen and where they're not known. And the number of times that Wendy and I will get a text in this building and that Angela gets texts in the other building about somebody's just off today and going and checking on them is more often than not. And that is because your children are known. And in a larger school, that doesn't always happen. I think one of the things I also love is when you're looking at some of those larger schools that is a kindergarten through 12th grade, the middle schoolers are sometimes not the ones that are highlighted. You often see a lot about what's happening on Friday night at football. You see what's happening in the SAT in college, but you don't see what's happening in the middle schoolers. The little ones are always cute, so they're everywhere. So when we're looking at the middle schoolers, it's my honor and my privilege to be able to help them 8th graders find their landing spots for what happens after St. Benedict's. It's one of the things I love most about what I do. And it's one of the things that I think makes me even, it reaffirms what we're doing here every day when I go through the process of this with students. Our 8th graders are about to find out in 2 weeks whether or not they have gotten into the magnet schools of their choice. Cobb has 7 of those now that students can apply into, and you don't have to be zoned for them to apply into those magnet programs. And we have a really great track record with all of them. In fact, one of our board members was telling us last year that Campbell Middle School, being as large as it is, had less students accepted last year to the Campbell IB program than we had at St. Benedict's from our last year's graduating class. So we are doing a great job in educating your children all the way through. When they get to the point of applying out, we are very intentional in setting up an outplacement webinar to help you understand the ins and outs of outplacement. And then we have individual phone calls with every family, talk about what the priorities of your family are in terms of outplacement. And you leave that call, that family call, with a monthly map of to-dos that will extend from the summer of their end of the 7th grade year through their 8th grade year. So we break the process up, we chunk it for you. It helps the students, it helps you know what's coming and when to do it. The past slide, I'm sorry, to go back one more. The past slide talks about where the children have gone for the last 2 years. I've got data all the way back to when we first graduated students in 2016. So again, let's meet for coffee, I'll go through that. One of the things I'm super proud of too is in the last 2 years, we've had 100% acceptance of students in every independent school that they have applied to coming out of 8th grade. And that is a phenomenal statistic. So we are doing really well in the outplacement. So not only are we doing well in the public magnet scene, we're also doing really well if children want to continue on into independent schools. The next slide shows you where some of our kids have gone. We're doing a more intentional job now of tracking where they are for high school. These are some of the places that you might recognize as our counterparts in the Atlanta area. And the next slide has some of the magnet public options that our children have gone on to. We are tracking their progress and their growth, and then their colleges come, and they are going and being that portrait of a graduate all the way through and doing some pretty cool things, and it's fun to keep up with them. I just got an email actually Friday night from a student who was here for kindergarten and wanted to ask Mr. Persky to her graduation party. Laura's going to be thrilled when she sees that, because it's just being able to track students all the way through and find out, keep up with them and where they are. And I think that is where I turn it over to. Yeah, sure.
All right, so speaking of graduates, this coming academic year, we're actually celebrating 15 years of our school. So you may have seen some emails come through asking you for pictures or just milestones, different things that we can highlight on our website. And those emails came from Christine Fierro, which we just hired onto our team. She will be the coordinator for alumni. So if that name is familiar, it's because she's also a founding family at this school. She has 2 boys that started when this school started, graduated, now they're just like being incredible and achieving and in college and doing all these great things. So stay tuned. You're going to start getting some emails as the fall approaches of different events that we're having and ways to celebrate. So pretty excited about that. And then
team at St. Benedict's, as you met here, is expanding. We're adding 2 more full-time roles. One is going to be our DEIB, which stands for Diversity, Inclusion, Equity, and Belonging. And that person is really lockstep with what we've been doing since I started as head of school here. Very early on, I brought the African American parents together for a meeting, and one of those parents introduced herself and let me know that she is a doctor and does work in DEI, and would I be willing to accept her help. And when you have anybody with that kind of expertise, your immediate answer is yes. I'm one of those people. If you look at this group, I'm not the smartest person in the room, and Dr. Russell worked with us from the very beginning when I first started as head of school, and has gradually been helping in a more and more capacity. Now that we are at 650 students, having her come in for parent meetings, being able to have her with our faculty and staff after a training and following up on some of the training that she has started with us over the years is just tough. She is a full-time DEIB director at Galloway. She worked at St. Martin's. She's been a professor at Georgia State University. So it is time for us to become big girls and boys and hire a full-time person who can come in and really take what she has started and the story of our diversity here, and make sure that because we look like we do in Smyrna, we have a representation from all over. So belonging is the big piece of this, and inclusivity. There's been a lot in the news about DEI recently. You are not going to see a shift at St. Benedict's from what we were to what we are becoming. We are slowly becoming who we are. So this is an intentional way of having someone on campus who knows data, can measure different things, different capacities, different ways that we are dealing with one another, being able to help our teachers who have students that aren't like them, whether it's faith, whether it's sexuality, gender, race, whatever it is. This is a person who we can all go to and feel like I've got somebody who can listen, and somebody like myself who can go to that person and say, hey, I've got blind spots, can you help me with X, Y, and Z? So this is a big deal. And then along with that, our safety director will be on campus in the fall. We're looking for someone who, again, understands our culture. We're not looking for someone who's going to march around here with batons and things that don't make us look who we are. I would like to hire somebody who the kids love to be around, who can maybe pick up a wrench from time to time, who can direct traffic, not that that's an issue here at St. Benedict's, but that will also be able to keep an eye on the outside world and make sure that our responses to any kind of internal or external threat are taken seriously. And again, there's somebody who are going to measure our steps along the way, who know more than I do about safety and can suggest things along the way. So it's going to be nice to have somebody, at least for carpool. I know Polly is very interested in that. You as parents, somebody who can respond forcefully if necessary, but also in a compassionate way to any kind of threats that happen around. So those are objective 1. Objective 2 is about retention. Did it go on? What makes St. Benedict's unique? Did you want to take this one?
All right, so what makes St. Benedict's unique? I think our students, each of you, all of us, but our students are known, right? And that's really what is most important, as Ann mentioned earlier. We have 2 dedicated teachers in each classroom, preschool through 3rd grade. Our teacher retention rates are high. Spanish, we start preschool 3s, and then it becomes a core subject from kindergarten on. Our students are all graduating with a high school credit, at least 1, and many students are testing into Spanish 3 even when they're leaving here. Preschool co-curriculars, we have art, music, and PE on a regular basis for preschool. As you know, personal relationships and family atmosphere is really important to all of us. Our Bee Buddy program, we started that back in 2019 and have revived it since COVID, and our students just love not only being mentors to the little ones, but the little ones get really excited about seeing their buddies come over. We do that once a month with all of our grade levels from pre-K through 8th grade. STEAM program, as you know, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. K through 2, our differentiated reading program. And so our students are in, differentiated groups. We are meeting the needs of those individual learners. Comprehensive grammar instruction, this just does not always happen, and that is really important to us for every career that's out there. Emphasis on writing instruction, of course, those two go hand in hand. And we're not going to lose cursive. So we really focus on cursive in 3rd grade. Without cursive, you hear all the debates, right? Oh, it's dying, they don't really need it. They can't read those historical documents without it. Inclusivity, Brian mentioned inclusivity and belonging, that's really important to us. And then learning support offered K-8. I guess you have that. All right, so the next few slides, if you want to take out your phones and scan these things, this is more information about some of these things. We had our ERB testing, we do grades 3 through 8, and Ann and I do a webinar every year about that. So, if you want to see that or be directed to what that looks like, whether you have, that's on the horizon for you or you're immersed in it now, go ahead and scan that. And then our STEAM program is alive and growing, and Mr. Chris just dives right in, whether it's with 2-year-olds or 14-year-olds, and gets them excited. We are taking all the steps that we can to become a STEAM accredited school within our middle school first, and then we will focus on K-8, and we're really excited about the horizon. Lots of great things happening each year within our STEAM program. And athletics. 2 new sports have already started this year in the middle school, and our students love to see that. They feel like they're the founders of these new sports, which they are, and so we just keep encouraging them. Hey, who's interested in this? Let us know. If we can put a team together, we can find a place to play. We are certainly willing to support you. So if you want to learn more about athletics, that's going to lead you right to our athletics page. Yes, and I'm going to pass this along to Tyson for admission.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Tyson Font. I am the new Director of Enrollment Management here at St. Benedict's, and I am very, very excited to be here. So much so that my daughter is also enrolled here at the school in the 2nd grade program, and we're just loving it. A fantastic transition, a warm, welcoming environment, and we ask that you refer more members to our community and to our family. That's part of the excitement of being here, is that we are a robust, growing community. We are a beacon in our society, and we want more of our community to grow. So please use the QR code here and click the link to submit a referral. We have our deadlines here for our applications, which is really tomorrow for our preschool. So you see that January the 23rd, and then for our K through 8 is February the 8th is the application deadline. Again, as you're seeing continuous enrollment, we are growing, we are excited, and we also want to make it as simple and easy for you as possible. You can also go onto the website and you can schedule a time to converse with me one-on-one to talk about the process, share your feedback and your thoughts, and kind of learn more about what we're doing here. Okay? Thank you.
All right, you see a big number up there, and you're going to see a very beautiful building. But this is really about who we are and what we're about. So as you listen to this, each one of us are a part of this. We are not one of the schools south of us that can just call a few people and we get a lot of zeros. We're all in this together, and this wonderful team is going to share how we're going to get there.
We're all going to get there together. So, I'm Christy. This is Stephanie. So, and then, Brian. And so the 3 of us have really been at this for a long time, probably so long that you're tired of hearing me talk about it. But it's actually really exciting now because it is happening. These plans are being put into place. It's an objective, that we've already reached 30% of, and we have very clear plans for expanding the facilities into the future. And so we'll just tell you a little bit about that. We took objective 3 and 4 and we put them together because they really cannot exist without each other. Oh, will it turn on itself?
This has sound. We'll get it working better tomorrow. Okay, well, I will talk you through it. So, if you're new to the school, you may have seen this really great billboard that's like right across from that park, the blue and red park right there in the corner, and you're like, oh, that's a St. Pete sign. What does that mean? So that is the future home of our middle school. As of last Friday, we have an additional piece of property that's next to that, that's 0.6 acres, that will bring us about to 5 acres of land over there. The reason we put this video, besides it being so moving and charming and wonderful, is that it gives you a really great aerial view of what that property looks like. When you see it from the corner where the billboard is, I think you can't really get a true picture of how big it is. You just see that one house, but I think there's 4 homes on that property. It's massive. So hopefully when we send this presentation out, or if you go to our capital campaign website, you will be able to hear it and see it and get all the feels. But it's going to be incredible, and we're really excited to share that with all of you.
And just for a point of reference, the new piece of property is larger than this main campus, including Dinko and our field down here. So it is really, really a big piece of property. There's also a really pretty little loop in there that the cross-country team was using. And so anytime you guys want to go and walk and talk, just email me. I'll meet you over there. Wear some shoes you don't mind getting muddy. And we can talk more about the future of St. Benedict's, or if there's anything else that you guys have questions about. But so, the goal is to raise $10 million. We have phased this into 2 parts. The first part is to raise $7.5 million. Don't worry, we've already raised just under $3 million. So we don't have to get all the way to $7.5 million right this very second. There are a lot of people in this room, many of them sitting around you, that have already given to this campaign, and they are going to welcome you to give with them. And so the first phase and the second phase is really not about making this school bigger. It's about making the opportunities for the kids who are already here bigger by giving them more space. So we will have a middle school where we have 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. All of the other students will shift to these different campuses that we already have. So we'll still use South Campus, we'll still use the Hive, we'll still use Main Campus, but we'll be spread out in a way that everybody has more space. And so this isn't just a campaign for a new building, it's a campaign for more space for all of the kids that are already here. And the growth from here on out is not significant to make this happen. So as you guys probably already know, here's where all of our campuses are. Is there anything I was supposed to say on that one? Okay. This is phase 1. So we have phased this out in a way that gets the kids on the property as quickly as possible. And so this is all the infrastructure for the building without the building. And why we would do that is so that the kids can literally get their feet on there playing immediately. It'll give us all the parking that we need for using the field space and the outdoor learning space. It'll also give us outdoor bathrooms, everything that we need to be able to be out there using it every day, all ages, summer camps, after-school care programs, teacher training, parking. I mean, and then you'll even see there will be a cross-country loop all the way around it for the kids to be able to run on. And so there will also be, and we don't have the final version of this, but it will also show you the outdoor basketball courts for the kids to be able to practice on and play on. We're hoping that we'll have an outdoor innovation lab right on this property, which will have all the storage we need to be able to have outdoor classrooms with actual technology behind it that can be locked and then opened for access. And this particular building would be part of phase 1, and it'll still be there when we go into phase 2 as part of a innovation courtyard. So the numbers, which are kind of a little bit off on the screen, but phase 1, $7.5 million. Of that $7.5 million, we've raised just about $3 million. We're estimating that we'll get about $1.8 million from professional donors. So that's exciting, right? The professional donors that we've talked to have said that they will be interested in coming into this campaign as soon as we reach 65% of our goal, right? So that's not too much further, about 1.8 million more. And so we kind of jokingly put the math in there
Go
of,
through the funny math?
yeah, you want to go through the funny
Okay.
math?
We were trying to be
We started
funny.
as
We're
a
so
joke,
funny. So we're like, what would it take for us to actually get there, right? If we did the math, if we had 100% of participation, giving every family is like, just take my money, I can't wait for this building, right? It's not that much. It's like $17 a week, right? So we know everyone's not going to give. We know everyone cannot give. So during these capital phases is really where we ask people to give those transformative gifts. It's like those stretch gifts to help make sure that we are covering the families that can't give monetary at this time and that we can get our kids the space that they need. So funny, but not funny, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll gladly buy you a cup of coffee and walk you through the property and we can talk about it. But it is really exciting because we are so close and 25, 26 is just around the corner. And so this is very attainable. You know, one of the things that Stephanie and I have talked about and that she kind of touched on is that we only have a little over 2.5 million left to raise from our community, which might sound like a lot, but when you think about the fact that from about 40 people, we've already raised 3 million, we know that the rest of that money is there. And that's why we can publicly stand up here and say, guess what? This fall, we are kicking off the campaign. It's happening. We'll have a party, probably on the property. We've got all kinds of fun ideas for it. But what we really want people to do is start thinking about maybe giving now. Like, we're taking pledges. Some people are paying with stock transfers. A lot of people get a company match. That counts. Several people have brought in grandparents. Somebody even recruited a friend who worked for Coca-Cola to give. In addition to their gift, all of that counts towards a family pledge. And Laura, you can't ask me to give as your neighbor, because I've already done it. But so when you think about the fact that we have 650 students, 30 board members, past and present, hundreds of alumni, founding families, all of our teachers and staff, the population is, I think, 2,000, from which we'll be kind of reaching out and asking them to be a part of this. And so this last bit is attainable. Everybody always asks me, well, how much should I give? I think somebody should get their name on the building at $1 million. But if you're like me and you're not quite at that level, one of the things that a lot of people will do is $1,000 a year for 5 years. Again, it's a pledge. And it can be done monthly, annually, however you want to do it. And then phase 2, which will hopefully come in right behind phase 1, we should have to raise about $2.5 million. So again, the total goal is $10 million. And the first 7.5 pays for all the infrastructure. And so shortly after, this is what the building will look like. And you can see it just goes straight down over the first part of that project. And we have all kinds of floor plans and everything you could possibly want to see. And anyone who's talked to me will tell you, I could talk about this forever. But I know everybody's probably got kids at home and wants to eat dinner. So email me, give me a call, come walk the property and I'll bring you a cup of coffee and we can look at the floor plans, the naming opportunities, all of the fun information. And I think the biggest thing is just with all of those people to reach out to, you guys could be the first ones to reach out to us and say, hey, we want to talk about giving.
We also, so if you go to that QR code, you can find more information. You can set up a 30-minute, just I want to walk the property, I'm curious. We have Rev with the Rev. If you want to have coffee at Rev with Rev and Brian Sullivan, you can sign up there and learn some more. So please don't hesitate, even if it's just out of curiosity, you want to ask us questions, please reach out.
And then this was the most exciting one, I know. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, go ahead. That is one that we can get together and talk about it. So yeah, I know, we're hoping that it will come in pretty shortly after phase 1. Yeah, so phase one is gonna pay, so this beautiful building is gonna cost more than $10 million, right? What we need to raise before we can put this down is 10 million. And so what we're gonna do is front end load that by being able to pay for the property in full and be able to do all of the work on the property with the fundraising. And then phase two will be about being able to get the building going, and at that point, we'll bring in financing for the rest of it. Yeah, but we wanted to make sure we kept a balance, that the tuition doesn't have to go up significantly to pay for this building. And so $10 million is that number, where we are truly giving these kids a gift of being able to have access to this building without this big significant tuition increase. We are not looking to be like some of the competitive schools. That's not what we're aiming for. So that's a good question. And then I know one of the other questions I've gotten a lot is just, will my kids see the building? Because that's such a good one. And we want everyone's kids to see the building. I really want my youngest child to come back and see this building. I think Christine Fierro has been such a good addition as a founding parent, because, you know, as one of the founding parents, she and her friends really paid for the current middle school that the kids are in. And so just thinking about it that way and making sure that whether our kids are assured to see this building or not assured to see this building, that we also pay it forward and like recognize all of these facilities that are here were paid for by somebody before us. So yeah, any other questions? No? Brian, do you want to add anything to that?
No, the only thing I want to add is the opportunity for this is absolutely exciting. I've talked to some of my friends that graduated from Holy Innocents in the 8th grade when there was no high school. I think my sister would have been one of the first high school students, and she's 4 years younger than me. And to think about what St. Benedict's is, I try to emulate what it was for me as a kid at Holy Innocents. That was one parent owned a car, one parent worked, one parent taught tennis, and we shared a car to carpool me to school and my sister. It was a place where a person with a high attention deficit disorder and a little bit of an auditory processing disorder got the love and care that I needed in order to succeed in life. My sister, they created a whole nother pre-K program for folks like her who had dyslexia, and she was able to graduate, and she's very successful now. So there is something very important about this K-8 model. And the school that I went to back then had the kind of things that we are getting ready to create. So at some point, we had met with some folks who were there from the beginning at Holy Innocents and almost dismissed us because, Brian, it took them 50 years. And in about 3 years of meeting with this individual, we were able to hit some of the milestones that he was looking for as a professional donor in order to then introduce us to other professional donors. So those folks are out there. It is on our backs. They are waiting to see how we do with this. But back to the original strategic plan, we wanted to make sure as we focused on that property that the number one thing that we are trying to do is educate children in an environment where they feel loved, where they feel accepted, where they're known by their teachers, where their best friends live down the street and not across 285, where families can get together at Eleanor's and know that they've got a graduate taking care of their kid at home, graduate from St. Benedict's. We just had a 3rd grader apply for after school who was in a class with my daughter. So that kind of environment is what we're creating for your kids, and those are the top 2 or 3 strategies for the next 5 years. So as we think about this, we're making sure we're not getting distracted by what we do best. So keep that in mind. I appreciate everybody coming out. We are a small enough group that if you want to stay and just have a chat, we can do that. As Stephanie said, I think there's a Calendly going out where you can just grab my calendar, usually sometime after carpool, and we can meet at Rev. We can also meet here, and I can bring in Rev. We can also have not the tastiest school coffee, but it gets the job done. So whatever you want to do, we're here to answer those questions. Again, thanks for being here.